Startup investor Scalare Partners has overcome regulatory hurdles and is listing on the ASX today through a reverse takeover of the defunct lolly company Candy Club Holdings. CEO Carolyn Breeze joining me. Carolyn, exciting news. Tell us, you finally got here, how pivotal this moment is.
Oh, it's fantastic news. Thank you so much, Juliet. The team and I are absolutely elated. It's always been our dream to bring Scalare Partners to the retail investment network, so we're absolutely pumped.
Let's just take a step back, because we mentioned it came from, of course, the defunct lolly company. How do you go from that to what you're seeing with obviously VC and investment opportunities?
Yeah, look, so there are multiple ways, obviously, to list on the exchange, and moving into a defunct shell being Candy Club was a fantastic opportunity for us to get speed to market and to get live on the ASX. So we're really fortunate to have come across that team. They're not trading anymore. We've changed the ticker over to us. And you're right, we are a portfolio of investment companies, early stage tech companies, but we also have a really thriving services business and other assets that are a really important and material part of the Australian startup ecosystem. So very different to the lollies.
How are you hoping to shake up the industry when you look at, I guess, the acceleration of the startup thematic?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do at Scalare Partners, and we've done a great job of to date, is to bring different assets and parts of the ecosystem together that really help early stage tech companies thrive and grow in those first 3 to 5 years that are really critical and crucial in the development and the global, sustainable growth of an early stage startup. So our assets include the Australian Technologies Competition and also Tech Ready Women, which is a fantastic accelerated program for female entrepreneurs and founders. In addition, we have our services that we offer to the startup and scale-up ecosystem, as well as then getting to know some fantastic investments and making those investments along the way.
So you raised around 4.3 million. What are you planning to do with that? How much are you planning on spending?
Yeah, sure. So obviously a large portion of that will go into continuing our investments. We make up to 8 investments every year. So we're really excited. We've got fantastic deal flow because of how embedded we are in the startup ecosystem. So looking forward to making more of those. We're also going to use some of the funds to accelerate the digitisation of our services. We want to make sure that they're accessible and available to startups of all shapes and sizes. Tech Ready Women, we have plans to expand that both nationally and internationally. And we also have plans to further our services offering and our investments into the US market.
You've mentioned that there's been a bit of an IPO winter, and it certainly has not been a big year. As we've mentioned, you've come about the listing in a little bit of a different way, sometimes said as the back door. But what is your hope for further, launches of new companies on the ASX, and how important that is to keep Australia at the forefront, particularly when it comes to the startup culture?
Look, being a publicly listed entity is a fantastic way of gaining access to capital. But I think for us, the most important piece is it's a great way for retail investors and different types of investors to get access to what is a really lucrative asset class, being early stage tech investments. We know that, it's a difficult asset class to get access to, particularly with the sophisticated investor and wholesale investor, potential reforms and changes. And typically you would access those types of investments through a fund model. And we wanted to bring that to retail investors, and we've had an overwhelming response. We're totally elated with the response from the market, and we're really looking forward to educating the market and bringing it to more people.
You mentioned Tech Ready Women Academy. I understand you're also planning on launching this in the US. How are those plans going? Where are you at?
Yeah, the plans are going well. And, in the lead up to going live on the exchange today, we've started all sorts of conversations, not just in the US, but the program has had so much success here in Australia and had such an impact on the innovation sector, and in particular, female entrepreneurs, giving them those foundations for growth and accesses, to resources and networks to really thrive and bring their ideas to life. And so those conversations are resonating well in many of the markets that we're talking to. So watch this space. We're hoping in the next 12 months we'll have lots of news.
Looking at your share prices, you list up 240%, 25.5 cents, obviously a small company, but what does that tell you about demand for a company like yours?
Yeah, so what I learned throughout this process of going live is how much interest there is in this sector, how much support there is for Australian innovation and startups, and how responsive the market was to getting on board with the RTO. So I don't think that's going to change. In fact, I think this will just bring more awareness to more investors, and we're looking forward to getting to know all of them.
And Carolyn, what's next? I mean, obviously this has been in the works for some time. You finally got the exciting launch day, but I assume you're not resting on your laurels. What is Scalare Partners up to now?
Yeah, no, not at all. As we keep saying around the office, the hard work absolutely starts now. We're really excited to bring a lot of our plans to life, and this just marks a really pivotal moment for us to be able to do that. So we're going to spend the next couple of weeks bedding down a lot of the plans that we had in play and get on with doing business.
And I guess just a final quick question for those who may not completely understand what you're doing. How are you sort of supporting startups without them needing to hire more staff, which can obviously always be costly?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of the startups and scale-ups we work with are in those really critical early stages of growth where they're injecting capital into their business and really proving out a sustainable growth model, both here and internationally. And that means that they need expertise, support, and they need those critical roles to grow, but they don't necessarily want to bring those people into their business full time just yet, right? Because there's a cost associated with that. So we bring them high quality expertise to help them grow in a fractional sense. So therefore not having to hire themselves, and that helps them, get off the ground and get running.
So can you just tell us a couple of the startups that you have invested in? Because I think you've got from agri-tech to also a shopping platform as well.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the standouts, I think, particularly in the Australian domestic investment portfolio, would be companies like MyPass, Frankie One, Browse, Zondi, and we also have international investments as well. And one of the highlights there would be With You, based out of the UK, and Vital 4, based out of the US.